Good day, viewers. Welcome to JetStream tutorial. I am by name Zonubore Elias Johanna, your biology tutor. And today we are going to be learning something on the topic evolution or organic evolution. Under the topic, these are the things that we are going to possibly look at. We are going to look at the meaning of organic evolution. We are going to look at the evidences of evolution as they are all written here. So this is what we are going to be doing. So firstly, we are going to go into the meaning of evolution. What is evolution? What is the meaning of evolution or organic evolution? Organic evolution simply means the sum total, the overall summation of the adaptive features, characteristics, attributes, or traits that living things have acquired over a period of long years, ranging up to millions of years. All the things that a living thing has so gotten, so acquired, as that particular living thing continues to exist from how it was looking in the past under the conditions or weather that was not good or that were not good to how it is now looking, at least able to suit or manage all the adverse conditions or weather that it has in its environment that it lives. Organic evolution happens naturally. From the word organic here, you can now say that this is something that happens naturally. It is not man-made. It is on its own and over a long period of time. Under organic evolution, there must be one change in shape, change in structure, and then change in function of that particular living thing as that living thing continues to survive, so that it can be able to suit properly into the environment in which it lives. Again, for evolution to take place, there must be other living things. In other words, pre-existing living things, or the living things that ever lived before this present living thing or living things. For us to be where we are today or how we are today, it means that there had been in the past over millions of years living things that existed in other forms that they existed in to how we are now existing. The same thing with other lower animals and plants. Plants that are now surviving are not the way they were used or the way they were in the past. The way they lived, the way they survived, the way they did what they were able to do is totally different from the way they are now living and surviving structurally, functionally, and otherwise. There must be pre-existing living things or there must be what? Living things that will live firstly before the subsequent ones. For instance, looking at computers, for example, the well-old the computers we have at the moment were not or are not in this form in the past. They were completely designed in a what? Form that is less sophisticated or advanced to how they are now. In the past, computers were big in size. In the past, computers were used to be what? Easily becoming hard. But today, computers are what? Small or portable in size, and they are not easily hurt when they are exposed to what? For activities or when they are used. And they can cover a vast what? Collection of networks globally. So this is how it is. A change from a less complicated form, less competitive form, less developed form, to a more developed, more competitive, more suitable form, so that whatever that will come in as an adverse effect could be what? Could be phased and then what? Phased out. That is what organic evolution means. Then we are going to go into what? Evidences of evolution. When we say evidences, this word simply means what? Records. In other words, it means what can show that something ever lived. Or these are traces, these are documents or documentations that prove that something ever happened or something ever lived. In this case, living things ever lived. So this is what evidence means. We are going to firstly look at what evidence from fossil records. Evidence from what? Fossil record. That is the first one on the board. What is a fossil? A fossil simply means the remains of a what? Of a living thing that ever lived, either plant or animal, deposited in what? Sedimentary rocks. So, with this, it is now what? A sedimentary rock is going to be dug or excavated, and all the deposit of any living thing that is found there is what? Is examined through what is referred to as what? Radioisotope dating system or technique. Fossil record or evidence are what? Gotten through the use of what is referred to as radioisotope dating technique, where the remains of any living thing will be observed using the elements or minerals that are found in these living things or these living things. For instance, carbon-14 takes up to 60,000 years minimally before it could what? Decompose. So if you take, for instance, any animal to what? That has carbon, and you want to know of its what? Age. If you observe the carbon 14, for instance, you are going to know at least for it to completely decay, it must at least have a minimum of 60,000 years. So this helps in what? In proving that a particular living thing, either plant or animal, has lived in this particular place. So you collect, you excavate, you dig a sedimentary rock, you get these things, and then you what? Observe them. Using radioactive technique or radioisotope or radiometric technique, whichever one. So that is what this evidence from fossil record means. Then we are going to go into the second one. The second one is evidence from geographical distribution. Evidence from geographical distribution has to do with what? Location and weather of the parts of the world or country that we have. You know, in a year, we have different weather according to our geographical position. Where a living thing is living or it stays is its geographical what? Location. So what it observes or sees there or witnesses there or experiences there as in weather contributes to how it what? Looks like and how it functions internally and externally. For instance, a weather that could be the same all over the world but in a different country could make a similar what? A living thing to be different in their function and their physical appearance. Just like our skin complexion, for instance. We are all human beings, but some of us that are exposed to harsh or hot weathers tend to be what? A bit dark in complexion, and our function sometimes tend to be what? Hampered upon, compared to those that live in areas that are moderately what? Hot or moderately cold. So these are some of the things that what? We experience under evidence from geographical distribution. Another instance is you could see a plant, for instance yam, for instance maize, for instance pawpaw, any of the plants you know, growing in Nigeria, growing in Ghana, growing in Cameroon, differently from one another. But they are the same what? Plants. But the way they are what? Grown, and the weather and the what? The condition they find in all these countries differ from one country to another. That now gives it what it presents outwardly through what it has internally. So that is what evidence from geographical what? Distribution means. It's all about the different locations of living things that we have and how these locations affect the function and what? Formation of these living things. Then the third one, evidence from embryology. This has to do with what? How living things look at the embryonic level. That is the next level after fertilization. When an egg and sperm fused, the next thing is what? The embryonic level or stage. At this stage, for instance, in what? In fish, chick, and human being. level of fish, chick, and human, you see that there are what? Similarities. This is how, at the embryonic level, the fish look like, the chick looks like, and the human being also looks like. So this is to tell us that at a certain level of our development, before birth and even after birth, we look what? Similar. That is what the embryonic level of what? Evidence of evolution. Then we are going to go into the next one, which is evidence from vestigial organs. I am going to tell us the meaning of the word vestigial. Vestigial simply means false. Something that is not what? True. Something that doesn't what? Exist. Or something that did not exist. Or something that is not into existence. Now, vestigial organs here, we can be able to use this as in the case of human beings and lower animals. For instance, in human beings, we don't have a well-developed tail. But in the skeletal formation of human being, we can see that we have a tail. Unlike in our lower animals, sheep, cow, and the rest that have a well-developed what? Vestigial organ, for instance, tail. So with these, you can see that at a certain stage of our life, we have all been similar, and at a certain stage of our life, we have become advanced or developed more than the way that we used to be. For all life activities that we are now exposed to, mind us, in the definition or meaning of organic evolution, we mention the word adaptive or adaptation, which is what? All about something, in this case, living thing or human being, being able to what? Adapt, to live, at least manageably in its environment. So, this is what evidence from vestigial organs means. Organs that were once there, but are today not there. Or organs that were once present and functioning in another organism, but it is not functioning in what? In other organisms. For instance, in human beings, we have appendix, which in other animals is referred to as what? The cecum, for instance, in birds. So you see all these things. So that is what evidences from what vestigial organs mean. And a person or human being could be operated upon, and the appendix could be removed, and that person continues to what? To survive. That person doesn't have what? Appendix anymore. Then the next one is going to be evidence from domesticated organisms. Evidence from domesticated organisms. The word domestic means house or home. So evidences of living things that have ever lived with us at home. For instance, we have dogs. We have what? Chicks. And many what? Living things. For instance, cow and cat. So these and other what? Living things. We have been living with them, seeing how they transform from one stage to another, how they change from one stage to another, for them to be able to continue to survive and what? Live in the environment in which they are going to be, or they are already in, living in it. So this is what evidence from domesticated organisms means able to view all the developmental changes in all the living things that you have at home, plants, animals, and the rest. You observe at different stages what they have and how they function at that stage and going forward. Then the last one, which is evidence from comparative anatomy. This word anatomy has to do with what? How a living thing looks like internally. The structural formation of a living thing internally. Here, for instance, if you bring fish, you bring birds, you bring mammals, and many other living things, you see that when we pick, for instance, the heart, you see at a certain stage, we have what? A simple circulation. And at going forward, there's a what? A complex circulation of blood, for instance, using the same what? Organ, for instance, the heart, for all this circulation. So this is what evidence from comparative anatomy is what all about. Trying to look at the similarities and differences between the internal organs of what living things that I have earlier mentioned. So these and other things we have what so far learned under the topic organic evolution. So you can now go through as it is written on the board. Thank you for listening till we meet next. Bye.